The 417 Gamers is a group of board, tabletop, and card gamers in the 417 area code. This is the podcast. Welcome to the 417 Gamer Podcast, episode 4, the one with games from 2022, I think we're calling it. In this episode, Andrea and I will discuss some of the things that we've enjoyed and are looking forward to in the 417 area. Our topic of the week, from the game group, Ben will join us for New Year's resolutions, how we did on the 2022 resolution, and some resolutions for 2023. And in the 7, we're going to talk about our favorite 7 games from 2022. Without further ado, let's get into the 417 Gamer Podcast. Welcome to the 417 Gamer Podcast, episode 4. In this one, we will be talking about our favorite games of 2022 and talk about our New Year's resolutions. But before we do that, we start with the 4. The 4 things that we have enjoyed or are looking forward to in the 417 area. You want to start this off? You and me go.
Sure. I'll do things I have been enjoying.
What have you been enjoying?
We recently attended Metagame's annual Christmas party.
Yes.
And it was my first time to ever go. So I had no idea. I thought it was just going to be a party. And it was. And there was, the place was packed and everyone was playing games. And to be able to come to the party, you must have purchased a game for the Secret Santa game. And I thought it was going to be more like the Secret Santas that I have had in the past at like work or family, where you just, you pick a gift, you open it, and someone might steal it from you. Meta does it different. They have turned it into a charity event. And in order to steal, you have to pay $5. So $5 gets donated to charity, and you may steal a gift that someone has already opened.
This last year was the Ozark Food Harvest.
And they ended up raising what, almost $2,000?
Over $2,100.
Wow. And how did it get to be such a high number? Well, let me tell you. All of the gifts were games, of course, because it's a gaming event. And some of the more popular games, like, for example, Isle of Cats. Isle of Cats would get stolen. And then the person that it gets stolen from has the option to pay $5 to get their thing back. And then the person who stole it can pay $5 to get it back. And then the person who wanted it can pay another $5 to get it back from them. And it'll go back and forth like this for a couple times until one of them finally says, okay, pass. And then if it gets taken, then they go open a new gift. Some of the gifts were quite sought after.
Oh, yeah.
There were some miniatures that needed to be painted. What were they, Blood Bowl or?
They had a Blood Bowl set. They also had a 40K set it was like a specialty set that they brought out. It had a limited run and it hasn't come back in.
Yeah.
They saved one set, and I think it was rumored to be valued around $150, $200.
Yeah. And
they saved that back specifically for this.
Right. So all of the games purchased for this are like $20 and up. So it's just anything over $20. And it could be a $20 game, or it could be like this $150 game. And that would get stolen and stolen and stolen because it was really sought after. And that happened. And then Wingspan's new expansion
Asia
was traded back and forth several times by several people. And then 2 of our friends got in a bidding war over this game. And neither one of them was going to get up. And then it was $50 and then up to $100. And then it was $150. And we're all like, oh, who's going to win?
It was a game of chicken until somebody got out of the way. And then the other one, all the money pledged does get donated. So even every time you spend $5, it's going to the charity. And everybody knows that.
Right.
I should say most people know that. It's been since before the shutdown that Metagames was able to do this.
It's the first one since.
This was a tradition of theirs, and it's always been a great time. And those that know have a great time. They know to hit the ATM, grab some $5 bills, and be ready. We had a friend that said he had 14 steals with him.
And he was going to use all 14 steals.
Yes.
And he did.
He did. They also had a pack that was 6 commander decks. And they were specific commander decks. I don't remember what they were, but they were very popular in the Magic community. I think that 6 set of decks probably raised $1,000 on its own by moving around the room.
Right.
It would settle there for a while, and you thought it was over until the next person, when your number's called, that's when you can steal. You steal back and forth from that person, and you go to the next one. So yeah, that miniature set, the Magic set, Wingspan Asia. I mean, Boop got stolen a time or two.
Yeah, we ended up with our 2 that we ended up with were Boop and Yosemite from the Parks series.
Yep.
So
we've already played Boop. We like Boop. Yosemite still needs to hit the table, but it's more family weight.
Yeah.
We're kind of waiting for when we have more family
Exactly.
to come over and play that.
So I encourage anyone who is in the gaming community. This is an annual event at Metagames. Come on out because it is extremely enjoyable, and we get to raise. They raise a ton of money for charity.
It's a good time in raising money for charity.
Right. And not to say that you have to steal, because neither one of us stole. We had our things.
I
Did you steal?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember.
I paid $5 to get Boop.
Did you?
Yeah. Well, and there were like 2 people that were
Oh, that's right.
gamers,
That's right. Yeah.
And neither one of them, they looked sad. I'm like, that's the game I want.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, anybody want to get rid of Boop? And then somebody held up their hand and you took it from them.
We went to Geekway, and Kurt Covert of Smirk and Dagger, Smirk and Laughter Games was there. He demoed it for us.
Yeah, and we played it there.
We played it. I'm like, oh, this is cute. We're going to get this.
We need it.
And if you played Shobu from a couple years previous, Shobu was a abstract strategy game where you're moving rocks and you have a light and a dark palette with rocks on it and a rope, and you can you move a rock on one side, which lets you move a rock on the other side, and you're trying to push all of your opponent's rocks on a plate. This instead, you've got little kitties on a bed. You put a kitty, and it displaces other kitties. It boops them.
Yeah.
As long as there's no kitties behind them. And you're trying to eventually you start with little bitty kitties that you can then upgrade to big kitties if you get 3 in a row. But the game ends when either you can get all 8 of your big kitties on the bed, or if you can get 3 big kitties in a row. It's a great little game. It's really fun. And when you have your war gamers and they like their rail guns and their big 40Ks and face stomping, when they see Boop,
they get a kitty game and they're like, but we're like, we want that. We saw it demoed and we need it.
It was also, I try to inject a little more chaos, because I asked the guy, I said, hey, because when you're stolen from, you also now have the option to go steal yours back or steal somebody else's. And I asked the guy, I said, hey, you said you had a roll of money there and you weren't too happy because he got like pick 1 or 2. Unwrapped it, had Boop.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't, I said, hey, if I steal your Boop, do you know where you're going to go? And he goes, yeah. And I said, is it over there? And he goes, yeah, I think I can do that. So I steals Boop. He goes over and starts stealing one of the other guests back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he settled for something else, which was fine. But yeah, I stole Boop for two reasons. A, because I wanted Boop, and B, chaos. I also enjoyed something back in December. It's on the other side of Christmas. We talked with some friends, and we all get different games. And we were starting to look at, towards the end of the year for this podcast, what games on our radar that we hadn't quite gotten to the table yet or hadn't gotten a chance to play. We hadn't gotten to play Endless Winter, which everybody was really high on this year. And Age of Atlantis was a game that I really thought I would like because it has tech trees, it has kind of mechs a la Scythe a little bit, but the mechs don't do as much, but they still have their own little powers.
And they look really cool.
They do look cool. So we got together, and since all of us had the next day after Christmas fell on a Sunday, so most of us had the next day off, and Metagames was open, we were like, okay, what if we meet up at 10 o'clock and try and get both games played? We got 6 of us. We watched online videos as much as we could. Granted, a couple of videos made you sleep, so it was kind of hard to get through, but we did it.
Was so long.
I know. But we did it, so we were kind of informed going into it, but Ben is very good at teaching games. He was able to teach Age of Atlantis to get us rolling. I had Endless Winter read and watched, and I had a pretty good grasp on how to teach it. So we split into our groups. We had one table of Endless Winter, one table of Age of Atlantis. As soon as they finished, we swapped tables and played. Yeah. So we got both of those in. It was really, really nice. Yeah. something I would really like to do again next year, and maybe open it up a little bit more and say, hey, what games are you missing, and seeing what other people in the group, hey, I have that, I would love to teach that.
Yeah, like an end of the year wrap up. What didn't you get to play this year?
Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a great idea in our game group, and I would like to do it again, and maybe flesh it out a little bit more, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, make it an annual event. Nice.
Andrea, what are you looking forward to in the 417?
I am looking forward to the New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
And isn't that something we normally dread? Your New Year's resolutions.
We did until we made it fun.
Yeah. There is no rule anywhere that says your New Year's resolutions have to be something that you dread.
Yeah.
They can be something you want to do. And we have a 10x10 challenge board that was made for us by Lasersmith.
Yeah, Brendan Smith does good work.
Yeah, and it's a 10x10 challenge board, and every year we change what our challenges are going to be. This year we have a few of them are just like normal things like outdoor grilling or a home improvement that we need to get done. But a couple of them are game related. One of them is game days here at the house because a lot of our time that is spent out at gaming events that we do.
Yep.
And then 10 family game days. Yeah. And that's going to be a big one for us because normally our game days are not with our families. They are with our friends who are also gamers.
Our gaming family.
Yeah, our gaming family. But this will be with our actual family.
Right.
And I'm actually looking forward to that because, well, first of all, it'll be a whole different set of games than we would normally play. There'll be a lot lighter weight. There'll be a lot more fun themed games.
What are you saying?
Some of the harder Euros, I wouldn't say they're fun themed.
Are you saying Trombone, where we're rolling trolleys to locations, that's not a fun theme?
I did enjoy it, but that doesn't mean everyone would.
Well, I would say the theme is not fun. I would say the game is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of sad it took us that long to get it off on our unplayed shelf. And now that we're playing it, you kicked my butt pretty healthily this last game.
It's true, I did.
The game is fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, our challenge board, it's inspired a lot of people in the board game groups. Started this where they did a 10x10, and you can find them on Etsy. Mm-hmm. But Lasersmith does them. We enjoy his work. A lot of people do a 10x10. They pick 10 games that they want to play 10 times. Mm-hmm. And while I've done one of those and succeeded, we kind of spurned it into where he put erasable markers, spots where we can write in whatever challenge we want or game. So instead of just doing games, we do different challenges. So yes, we got a grill 2 years ago. We don't use it enough, so we're going to do 10 different grill recipes. Mm-hmm. We've got
walking, outdoors, outdoor activities.
10 outdoor activities.
Yeah.
So that could be hiking, that could be fishing, that could be disc golfing.
Mm-hmm. New healthy recipes, new restaurants to try. There are a lot of new restaurants in Springfield that, people have been encouraging us to try that we've never been to. Right. So we've got that on there. So a lot of different types of things. And then the gaming challenges as well. Yeah. You have a whole gaming challenge of your own that we'll talk about in a future podcast. Yeah. That's specific for this year. But yeah, there's a lot that we've got to look forward to this year.
One other thing I'm looking forward to is calling it PitchForce. I want to combine one of my favorite games with another game that I really like. Pitch Car is one of my top 5 games. We discussed that a couple months ago. And I really enjoyed Downforce. And I'm trying to combine the two and see how they play together. So you need 12 players to play this, because you need 6 players to play the Pitch Car side, and you need 6 players to play the Downforce side. Mm-hmm. And the idea is people buy cars like they would in Downforce. They would do all the betting. They'll play the cards. And then on the pitch car side, your order of play is dictated by the card play. Mm-hmm. So there could be a round that you don't get to flick. You don't get to play.
Yeah.
And the way we're going to play is it doesn't matter what the numbers are. It's the card. The card order dictates who gets to go first. Mm-hmm. I mean, the card...
Just like in the game.
Right, but in the game, it tells you how far each car moves. Mm-hmm. This one, it's just, You
That's
get one
your
flick.
flick.
That's your order.
Yeah.
Except for the number 8 card. Everybody gets an 8 card when they buy their car. If you play that, your racer gets 2 flicks.
Nice.
So we're going to play that, try that, and see how it goes. If we like it, we're going to put it into something I'm also looking forward to. So I'm going to get in a 2-for-1 for this one. Still counting it as our 4th of the 4, 4 things we're enjoying, looking forward to. We'd like to put it as an event for MoonCityCon. Because we really like running our pitch car tournament, which we will still do. But pitch car is a beast to lug in and lug out. And I might even maybe look to get a little bit more. I want another loop. 1 loop is nice. 2 loops would be really, really, really sweet.
Sounds loopy to me.
Yeah, it does. It's very loopy. But if this works, we'd like to add that to another event for MoonCityCon.
Yeah.
This one, we've done well. Our attendance was great last year.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure our events are even better.
Yeah, something new and different.
Something new, different, something that nobody else has done. I've got the stuff to do a 15-player Captain Sonar, but we haven't tried that out to see if it works. And that's another one I want to try out.
Yeah.
But we're not looking forward to that one yet because I'm not ready for that one. I am ready for PitchForce.
Very nice.
But that's the things that we're looking forward to and enjoying in the 417. But without further ado, let's go on to our discussion topic, which will be New Year's resolutions. Hey guys, MoonCityCon 2023 is coming up. Tickets are going to go on sale January 15th. The event will take place June 9th, 10th, and 11th at the Hilton Garden Inn Hotel on the south side of Springfield. MoonCityCon 2023 is Springfield's premier board gaming convention. We'll see you there at MoonCityCon 2023. The one in the 417 Gamer Group is our one topic of discussion. In this discussion, we're talking about New Year's resolutions. Resolutions from last year and how we did, and gaming resolutions for the next year. Gaming resolutions. Those other resolutions don't count. 'Cause we didn't do
They never do.
That's the only other resolution I've had.
We actually maxed those last 3 out, so... Yeah. No, the 30-minute walk we didn't get done. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I know. Somebody... I blame it on somebody, but I thrown their under the bus yesterday when I wanted to go home. But, so, New Year's resolutions. We had a few last year. One was we needed to go through our back catalog of games, which was already big and has gotten bigger this year. Don't judge me. We wanted to play 10 games 2 times a piece. At least 2 times to see if we liked it and whether we wanted to keep it or send it on to the next,
Schlup.
Yeah, that guy. Or that gal. So we got through all of that. We wanted to do 10 game days here. A, it helps us keep the house a little cleaner. And B, we like having friends over to play games. Mm-hmm. They needed to be at least either 3 hours or 3 plays of games. If we had friends that are lighter gamers, we at least wanted to get through 3 games with them. Or if it was, with heavier gamers and we played the 3-4 hour slog of whatever it was, that counted. And then for Andrea and me to play, at least 2 hours of 2-player games together. Mm-hmm. So
nice.
Because I didn't play a lot of 2-player games until I met Andrea. Because I go out to game night, so I don't get to play 2-player games much at all.
Yeah. I know.
But now I have somebody that's willing to suck it up and play a couple of 2-player games, and it's been nice. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been my main New Year's resolutions, and I accomplished those. Mm-hmm. Now, that's the gaming side. The rest of it, I didn't do so good. But that's for other me. Andrew, did you have any New Year's resolutions outside of that?
I would like to play some of the harder Euro games in more of a teach style for just the 2 of us.
Is that for next year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like when it's just you and I playing them 2-player, I get a better understanding of the game mechanics, and then I don't feel so underwater when we play them with the more experienced players.
Right.
Out at game night.
I totally feel that, especially with new games when I'm getting taught, because I'm usually the one who's teaching, so I don't feel that way.
You need to teach me better.
No, teach me better.
I just figure you're yelling at yourself in the mirror.
No.
Guys, I need to go to the bathroom.
I teach fine, Rick. Thank you.
I don't know how you teach you. You sit there like, oh, what did I say?
Yeah. There's only a few games where I've ever just gotten through and teach, and I was just like, What?
Did you have any New Year's resolutions in 22?
None that were gaming related.
Aww.
I think this last year was crazy at the start, and then everything kind of calmed down later.
Yeah.
Whereas I did have the one personal resolution that I was able to stick to and carry on now as a lifestyle change. But at least for me, so the only thing is I did set a resolution for this coming year, and I've forced it upon my friends in gaming group to make it a group resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I put it in our chat, and I said just to kind of start because I knew I'd get a list of it anyways. I was just like, give me 3 games that you want to play. If you own them, I would want them to be Shelf of Shame.
Yeah.
But I understand that there are guys in the group who don't own some of the games just because they know we have it.
Yep.
And so, yeah, so I said, give me up to 3 games. I'm going to put a list, and then whenever we do game days, either when we go out to game day in public and we want to, schedule something, or if it's at a friend's house, what I want to do is then have some way to generate randomly 3 of those games, put it in a poll, and let everyone decide. But at least do it ahead of time, so that way whoever has to teach it has a week to go over those rules. Because I don't want to do that. I don't want to just be like, oh, we're playing John Company tomorrow, and Ethan and I are just.
Reading a brand new rule book is rough, but having to refresh a game that you think you know and you don't, it feels almost rougher.
Yeah, and we did make sure that we all mentioned games that we haven't played, and so I also was cognizant of I might name games that someone else in the chat might name, so I purposefully named something else, but Ethan still gets on me about like, well, I own 2 of those games.
That's fair. I've got the big one for me. Our unplayed shelf sits at like 46 or 47 titles.
I saw that.
Yeah. I've got almost 400 games in the collection, and I need to slim them down. But I want to play the games before I slim them down. And I grabbed each one going, hey, that looks fun. I watched a video. They told me it was fun. They can't lie. They're on the internet. And
you would never lie to me.
They're just different games. There's some economic games. There's some Euro, some Cube Pushers, a couple, some Civ games. I have Sid Meier's Civ that is set on my shelf. I even bought all the expansions because they were going out of print.
Ooh.
Put them in the box. And this has been sitting on my unplayed shelf for probably 5 or 6 years. And it's I know it's a long game, and I know 3 or 4 people in the group that love the game, would play it, would teach it, but it's getting them and our days to align for a day off to play it and sit down. Mm-hmm. I also have Clash of Cultures that I really want to play. Yeah. That's another Civ game. Man. But, yeah, I've got 46 games, and I want to get that down to single digits before I'm going to buy another game into our collection. Except the couple I have on pre-order. I have Revive on pre-order. That's from Aporta Games, and I told Metagames I wanted that.
Yep.
And I've got a couple others.
Like Kickstarter's Shake That City.
Shake That City Kickstarter. And Starship Captains from CGE.
Oh, yeah.
I asked Meta to get a copy. The first run they couldn't get a hand on. And they probably can't get their hands on it until mid-January to early February.
Yeah.
Whenever that comes, I'm getting a copy of that as well.
Yeah.
But I want to get that down to single digits, and that's including those. Once those come in the collection, I have to then play those before I can then buy something else. Now, I did I've been tongue-in-cheek saying this, I can't buy it, so I can hound Andrea to buy it for me. But in spirit, no more buying more games.
The letter of the law.
Right.
Yeah, our office is at capacity. I probably need to kick a good 15 games out of the collection again.
I need to as well. But I've also been clearing out a lot of stuff. I've been clearing out closet space because Magic the Gathering had been taking it up. And I'd been selling a lot of that. And now most of the stuff is out of the closet, so I've been able to move excess games that I know I want to keep or still haven't played yet into that closet. And they can stack so high depending on how thick they are. But, Mosaic and the what is it? The
Mosaic is one of the few that I really want to play that too. But
the Mosaic, Everdell, and the Wingspan nesting box are all just huge, and they're all just stacked on top of each other, touching the bottom of the clothes on the hangers.
I also, BG Stats is a great app to track your game collection, who you played with, and all your plays. I highly recommend it. The base app is free, but if you want to do the challenges and track your challenges, I think you have to pay like $1.99 or 99 cents to get that upgrade. And they've got other upgrades, and I paid for every upgrade that they've asked for because they've been it's been a great app, and they've always fixed anything that's crashed, and they've kept it up to date. And I like to support the things I use.
Yeah.
So I've got 4 more challenges I just put in the back. So I am tracking. It's actually 47 games of my unplayed games. I found one on the shelf that I forgot about. Hey. I'm tracking all the plays I played in 2022, and within the next 2 years, I want to have played all the games in my collection. Period. So that's 296 by 1. Oh, I've got like 200 and some odd plays to get done in the next 2 years. It's okay. Well, I'll get it done. In the next year, I also want to play 30 old favorites, games I haven't played in the last 2 years. So 30 games off the shelf that I haven't played in 2 years. And then I have play 50 different games with Andrea. I like playing games, but we sometimes here will just pull out Agricola All Creatures Big and Small or Seven Wonders Duel and just hit that over and over, which is great. We love those games.
Yeah.
But because we know them, they're so easy to pull out, it also kind of makes us hesitant to then pull out something else that would help us get things. And then I can double dip that way. So I can be like, hey, we played a different game and it's off the shelf. So
yeah, I mean, well, you can always borrow something from me if you want to get RiftForce off my hands for a week or so. You've graciously lent me one game.
Yeah, I'll lend you any game out of my collection.
Yeah. I'll lend you RiftForce.
Okay.
So.
What did I lend you?
You lent me. Here's what happened. You attempted to lend me Coimbra. And that night you gave it to me, I pulled out the rule book and went, nope, don't feel like it. Gave it back, but then you lent me. I don't know if I'd call this lending. You walked in, handed me Guild of Merchant Explorers, and said, "Bring this back next week."
Yeah, it's that good. We'll talk about that.
It's just you forced it on me.
I did. We'll talk about what you thought about it in the next segment.
Yeah.
Andrea, any New Year's resolutions in gaming that you got outside of what we've got going?
Just what you've already talked about, and then my more trying to get in more teaching games versus the playing games before we take them out in public.
Yeah, we've been together for 3 years now, and I've kind of pulled you down the rabbit hole with me. And for the first year, you taught very seldom, and this last year, you stepped up and taught quite a few games.
Yeah.
And I've seen you teach Azul Queen's Garden, which is not an easy teach. I mean, you got to get people's heads wrapped around how to play and get their... It's Azul, but it's not. You got to get them focused on, what patterns to look for, what patterns you can't do.
Sure.
This can't be played there. Why not? Well, reasons.
Yeah.
Just because I said so.
Oh, yeah.
Are there any 3 on your list of Shelf of Shame that you're looking forward to playing?
There's a lot on my shelf.
A lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go through a couple of the games. Just Aquatica. Supposedly it's got the card mechanic from Concordia that I love. And I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. I've got to play that. So then I saw it on the used shelf at Metagames. Got a hell of a deal.
Hey.
And it's been on my shelf. Actually, that's only been up there since probably February. So it's been not been up there too long. Dashboard Golf. It was like a pre-order. It's a company out of Australia, and it was the first disc golf game I'd ever heard of or seen. And I've sat on that since it came out in... you going to show me when you come out? Nope, it's not going to tell me. Not on that page anyway. Dashboard Golf's been out for quite some time now. And it's on my shelf of shame that I need to play really bad because I pre-ordered it, got kind of some... internet Twitter friends that are in Australia, and he's like, have you played it? And I'm like, no, why haven't you played it? Because And he plays disc golf, and he's got a huge collection of discs. He's like, when I get a disc, I throw it. And I said, when I get a board game, I put it on the shelf.
It's easier to throw a disc, right?
That's a New Year's resolution is play. I'm going to play 10 different disc golf courses this year.
There you go.
Last year, I said I was going to play disc golf. Andrea and I were both going to play disc golf 10 times. We didn't do that.
Well, in fairness, I broke my ankle. So
yeah, you had a surgery at the front of the year, and then you broke your ankle in October.
Yeah, so.
But I still feel like we could have found at least 10 times to play disc golf.
Okay.
And we live a few blocks from a small disc golf course that is very easy to learn at. It's also very easy to throw discs into yards and lose them, but it's very easy to learn at.
Excellent.
That's our New Year's resolutions. Do you have some? If you would like to interact with us, either post them in the YouTube when we put them online, follow us on Instagram at 417Gamers, or go to our Facebook page at 417Gamer Group and interact. If you are in the 417 area, I will add you to our group, and you're more than welcome to chat with us. Let's go on to our top 7. Do you live in or around the 417 area and would like to interact with the 417 Gamers? Well, head on over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/417Gamers and click the Join tab, and that'll kick you over to our group page. We'll see you there out in the 417 Gaming. 7 in the 417 Gamers podcast is our top 7 in a category. We are looking at our favorite 7 games from 2022. And I'm loosely saying published or distributed in 2022. There's a couple games that were rarely right on the edge, or they came out in Essen in 2021 but didn't get wide distribution in the U.S. until 2022. But it's your list, your baby. You raise it, you make it. Let's start off with number 7. Andrea, what was your 7th favorite game of the year?
My number 7 is Ready, Set, Bet.
Uh-huh.
I like it for several different reasons. One, it's a quick and easy teach. 2, we've played the heck out of it, and every time we play it, we still enjoy it. 3, it's good for a large group of people and a large group of different kinds of people. Everyone from people who never play board games, people who've only ever played like Uno, all the way up to heavy board gamers. The whole spectrum of people enjoy this game, and I enjoyed it right along with them.
I can drag a lot of different people to a game, and I usually really, really pull hard if I know it's a game that they're going to like. And I had a couple people thumb their nose at the game until I pulled them over, and they're like, and then they're screaming, yelling at horses just with everybody else.
Yeah, that got to play it last night, and I like you, I do enjoy being the announcer. And but I do also like playing it as well. But
the app is nice too.
Yeah, the app is great for that. But last night it was like, let's make want to make this more of an event so that way I can help the people who aren't really gamers, because I remember teaching it and they were kind of like, it kind of floated past them. They got past the first round, and just the immediate excitement of having someone live telling them how the horses are racing, and everyone yelling their heads off just because the number 4 horse looks like it's gonna win. Or we get to race 4, and the first thing that happens is we get back-to-back box cars, and everyone just goes all in on 12, and it comes in 4th.
Right.
Yeah. When is Kentucky Derby? Is around...
It's in May, yes.
So I was talking to Catherine. I said, come Kentucky Derby, we ought to just kind of strong arm one of the Thursday game nights. Yes. Have people dress up and have a couple Ready, Set, Bet games going, and see if I can't get the guys at Metagames to let us Chromecast to their monitor over the pinball tables.
Yes.
Yeah. But making an event, but that's down the road, and that's if future me can remember that shit. Yeah, future me has to remember a lot of what present and past me has done. Yeah. Ben, your number 7 game of 2022. My number 7
is going to go in as an expansion, but more in the style, kind of like in the style of Wingspan Asia, is Root Marauder expansion. They did build that as kind of a standalone 2-player expansion that can fit into the larger game of Root. and it is a fantastic expansion. Just to add to the game as its own game, it's kind of easy to list it as such.
Yeah.
Because they did 2 specific factions that you can play against each other and 2 players.
Yeah.
And it's just, all the same root conventions, just way different factions who then also kind of slot nicely into the larger game. And it comes with a few other extra things. I love the hireling mechanic that they added in, and so I got all those guys, and they fit perfectly and just extend that 2-player feeling, because now you have things that you can tug of war over.
Yeah. My number 7 is Marvel Remix. Ethan and you championed Fantasy Realm, said you have to play it. I sat down, played it, and I liked it, and then Metagames hasn't been able to get it back in stock since.
Yeah.
They're going to get the deluxe game, and that is something that I want to get our collection played down.
I'll probably get for mine as well.
As in our as a New Year's resolution, so I can then pick that up. But Marvel Remix is the same kind of formula. You start with a hand of 7 cards, 1 villain, and 6 Marvel Remix cards, which can be heroes, locations, abilities, whatnot. At the end of the game, whoever has the strongest hand wins. Very easy to play. It's my most played game of 2022, and it has to make the list because of that. Really like it. It plays with a lot of different weights of people, not necessarily the Unos, but people that are willing to come out to a game night and are willing to learn.
Yeah,
seem to be able to grasp this all the way up to heavier-ish gamers, especially if they like Marvel. Seem to grok this one pretty easily.
Yeah, I like they at least made making the hero cards thematic, where you can turn Tony Stark into Iron Man if you have the certain combination of icons.
Yep, I do.
love
those flip cards are pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Let's see here. No, undo. Ben, your number 6 of 2022.
My number 6 gonna go to one you haven't played yet, Mosaic. Now, don't be fooled when they say it's a civilization game. It is definitely an area majority game with a civilization theming.
Yeah.
But made by Forbidden Games. And
designed by Glenn Drover, isn't it?
Yes, Glenn Drover, yes. And so, same guy who did Raccoon Tycoon, and it uses that same action selection mechanism, but it almost feels like it's a weird cross between Raccoon Tycoon and Terraforming Mars with how the cards work with each other, because you have different tags on cards, and it's just and it's really neat just trying to figure out where you want to build and getting around some of the restrictions. And the technology cards is where it makes it kind of Civ themed, and giving you some of those extra powers, because it's like military stuff doesn't do much anything other than provide support unless if you get the tech cards to go into that, which they make them do different things. Kind of makes you feel good. Makes you feel good about that when you go into military, but you don't have to go into military for that. It's you might have to throw out a few armies, but you might not go full bore into it.
Right on. My number 6 is Splendor Duel, and I didn't know that Splendor needed a duel, a 2-player game, but to be fair, Splendor 4 I absolutely adore it, and Splendor 3 I really like. It's why we upgraded to the Marvel Splendor. Splendor sometimes has a runaway leader. You can look at the table, I'm getting my butt kicked. And then you're just collecting some rubies and emeralds, and you're like, Splendor Marvel allows you to be like, you know what? I'm not going to win, so I'm just going to take all the Marvel characters I want. I'm just going to build spider people. But, so, Splendor Duel takes the Splendor format and flips it on its head a little bit more. You have a board with a grid of poker chips that you're taking up, and you have an optional action, and then you have a mandatory action. Your optional action, you can either use a privilege if you've acquired one to take 1 chip off the board, or you can refill the board, which will give your opponent a privilege, but it'll give you first pick during your mandatory turn. Your mandatory turn, you can take up to 3 gems in a line, as long as one of them's not gold, or you can buy a card, or you can reserve a card. So there's that buy the card, reserve the card that regular Splendor has, but the turns are more interesting. The actions are more interesting. In the game, there's 3 in the game. You can either get 10 crowns, 10 points in one color, or 20 points overall. So it's got that multiple paths to victory that like a Seven Wonders Duel has, that Splendor Duel now has, and didn't know I needed a 2-player Splendor, but I'm glad we do.
I feel like that was a sentiment with a lot of people when they heard it announced, and they were like, I don't think we need 2-player Splendor, and then
yeah,
it got into their hands.
It's
and
that good.
Yeah, confession though, I have not played anything Splendor.
Anything
Splendor.
Oh my god.
Shocking,
well, at least play Splendor Marvel with us, please.
Sure. Andrea, you're number 6.
My number 6 was your number 7 Marvel Remix.
Yeah.
I think another reason that it's on our top list is the length of the game is very short.
Yeah.
And that works really well for us for a couple different reasons. One, especially on game nights, we might have multiple tables going, and one table might finish before the other, and then we were all going to play together. So you have to have a little something filler game. Yeah. It only takes like 10 minutes to play Marvel Remix, but it's also good for playing with like my brother, who's not a hardcore gamer. He likes Marvel though, but some of the longer games you can just tell he just kind of tunes out. This is quick enough that it keeps your attention, and it's almost over before you want it to be over.
Yeah. I mean, if it ain't broke, that's why it shows up on 2 different lists.
Yeah.
And it's great to just play it back to back. Yeah, because you can run through it that fast.
Yeah.
You're just like, again.
Yes.
Number 5. My number 5 was your number 7, Andrea, Ready, Set, Bet. This is by, who's the designer on this?
John D. Clare.
John D. Clare. He is hitting on so many cylinders right now.
Dude's on fire.
I know. When he designs another game, I automatically start looking at it. And his next game isn't even coming to AEG. I forget who's publishing it.
It's Brotherwise Games.
Brotherwise.
Yeah.
And I saw that, I was like, but my New Year's resolution, but I'll have to wait for Ben to get it, and then I'll play it. But Andrea said all the stuff I would. It feels so many different weights of gamers, from the not a gamer to the heavy gamer. I'm loud and shouty. I love being able to get out there with people and facilitate people gaming. Because there's some people that aren't very sociable. One of my favorite games is Bonanza. It's in my top 15 games of all time.
Okay.
But Bonanza, if people aren't trading and being social, the game falls flat and it dies. And I absolutely understand that. So I absolutely am just loud and shouting at the table. You must, you may. Here's your offering. Start trading. And then I've sold that game to so many people, and admittedly, some people that came back like, it wasn't as fun when we played it. I know. Let's play it again and you'll like it again.
Uwe thanks you.
Right. So, Ready, Set, Bet is in a similar vein. I get to be loud and shouty and pull people that wouldn't normally play the game and make them play the game.
Yep.
And
but if you don't have a loud and shouty person in your group, it's okay, because there's a phone app that's free that'll run the game for you.
Yep, and you can Chromecast it or Roku cast it to your TV, and it can be loud and shouty for you. Ben, your number 5.
My number 5. This one many people might not have heard of, and I finally got you to play it last week. The last week from tomorrow is Age of Atlantis. This one made by Eldorado Games. I'm sorry, I don't know the names of the designers. I know it was a pair of designers. But I remember seeing it on Kickstarter, I think right when I was kind of in that little bit of that Kickstarter craze, and I've since cooled on, and I have some rules, self-restriction rules on myself for Kickstarter.
You have a safe word for Kickstarter now?
Absolutely. I have to give it to my roommate. So Age of Atlantis, so here, back-to-back Civ games. It is certainly a civilization game with that's themed around the city of Atlantis, and it's being invaded by Persians and Greeks. And you get a random house, which is your faction, and then you get a random mech, which the game calls myths. And so it's kind of like this scythe setup, and you go ahead and play through where you have this huge board that technically has 80 plus worker placement spots, but
it kind of doesn't.
It kind of doesn't, because they all effectively do the same thing. And you're building buildings, fending off the invaders. But the thing that I enjoy about the game the most, because it is shockingly a practice in efficiency, because that game, when you play it with people who either have played it before or get it from the rules right away, that game is over before you know it, and you will feel like you did everything and also did nothing. And it feels, and for whatever it just felt great to play it. And I really enjoy it, because once you start playing it, it's surprisingly easy. The rulebook, sorry guys, it's a really bad rulebook. But once I sat down and played it solo, it just clicked. I understood everything. And it just became a little bit easier to teach players. And every time that I've taught it to someone after that first round, people get it. And like I said, that game is done in like 5 or 6 rounds, even though it is indeterminate rounds. And you're just kind of left like, what happened? Oh, cool, I got over 100 points.
That was your number 5?
That is my number 5.
Andrea, what's your number 5?
Mine is Foundations of Rome. I've played it a couple times now. A friend of ours, Catherine, has it. And it is, first of all, it's a beautiful game. Yeah. The pieces are very intricate. There's the buildings are beautifully carved. The statues are like something that you would see in Rome. You know, there's these marble figures, and they're huge. And this game can take up the whole table. And you'll walk by and you'll be like, "What is that?"
It's a table hog, but it's worth it.
Yeah,
and it's just gorgeous.
It's a shelf hog.
Yeah.
If you got those Kallax or cube shelves that everybody sees, it takes up its own cube.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it has to be a big enough cube, too.
Into the closet with ye for me.
Yeah.
When I get my copy. What I find funny, because there is apparently a downgraded version of that game, but when they ran the Kickstarter for a second, for the expansion, so the second Kickstarter, they're like, yeah, we never got enough orders on the downgraded that they're just not doing it.
Yeah.
So you have to go that full on big box Foundations of Rome, and I backed it, not playing it, but I see the hype, and I feel like it's something that I would certainly want in my collection. And it's Emerson Matsuuchi. He did the Century series. Mm-hmm. So I love Spice Road. So
yeah.
I feel like I'll certainly enjoy it.
All right, that brings us to number 4. Ben, what's your number 4?
Starting with me, you're gonna like this one, Rick. Guild of Merchant Explorers. And I'm sure this one might come up later for you. Hint, hint. Even I don't know what's on his list, but I don't know. I at the start of this year, I scoffed at anything rolling right or anything close to it.
Yep.
Then I was like, okay, well, I caved on, was it Clever Cubed? Because, all right, that looks smart. I like it. Picked up Trek 12. Really like Trek 12 a lot.
QE.
QE. QE's not a rolling right.
It's still a dry erase, right?
Yeah, but I feel like there's no, the randomness is the other players. But then I saw Guild of Merchant Explorers and looked at the mechanics, and I was like, okay, maybe. And then and I told this story to Rick earlier, because I missed out on buying it because I hesitated. And then he comes to me at game night the week after you bought it, I'm pretty certain. Yeah. And he slams it in front of me. No, I'm kidding. He puts it in front of me and goes, bring it back to me next week and tell me what you think. And he walks away. He leaves game night and doesn't say anything else. He didn't say goodbye like a loser. It leaves me here bewildered. But I did want to borrow it. Uh-huh. And now I'm mad that I didn't buy it. But with the Shake That City Kickstarter, they let us pre-order for the next printing. So
who's the winner?
Yeah, AEG is, because they got my money.
Yeah, take this game. Tell me what you think next week. Andrea, your number 4.
My number 4 is Splendor Duel, which was also on your list. I don't think that I was expecting it to be so different from regular Splendor. Yeah. It is almost yes, there have some of the same iconography and the same theme, but it's a totally different game, and at least the
mechanics of gathering ships are very different. Yes.
and it just you know the way your strategy for winning is different, and I really was surprised at how much I like this game. It was a pleasant surprise, and I would like to play it again right now.
Just pull it out.
My number 4 is Azul Queen's Garden. This was a game that one of our friends, Catherine, she likes her heavier games.
She sure does.
Her brain locked up while we were playing. Catherine usually doesn't AP very much. This one, she shut down for a good 4 to 5 minutes, and she's like, I'm sorry, I gotta get coffee. My brain's just stopped. So anything that makes somebody's brain fry that much, it's a puzzle. I get it, because you need to collect the pieces and put them together right. And while I like base Azul, this is my favorite Azul right now because it is such a puzzle to put together. Plus, you have different tiles. The tiles have different symbology on them, and that's points against you at the end of the round or at the end of the game if you can't use them. Mm-hmm. So the 6-pointer is going to be worth a lot of points if you can get them placed correctly. But if you have them still on the board, they can hit you for a lot of points too. Yeah. So it's a little bit of risk and reward. And I love that because, man, you can risk it and you can really get a whole bunch of points, but, man, you can hose yourself.
Yep. I liked my one play of it with you two. And but I still just want Azul. I don't know. Yeah. That's just me. It's a game. Azul is a game my parents love to play.
Yeah.
And I can play it with them. I even got them, and they don't know this yet because we haven't exchanged Christmas gifts. I did get them a copy of Azul Master Chocolatier because I felt I like the box art on that a little more for them versus the Azul, where it kind of just gives you just a colorgasm on the box. But I did pick up because the Plan B site's shutting down on January 9th because of the buyout from Asmodee. Yeah. So they're so 25% off on the entire store. And I went ahead and bought all my the rest of the Azul stuff because they do want to try and get the goodies sold elsewhere, but for right now it's your last chance. One more week.
Yeah. Mm. All right, that was our 4s. Andrea, what was your number 3?
My number 3 was a Christmas gift from you. Flamecraft. You know that I like dragons. And a lot of people like dragons. It's a lightweight game. I'd say it's family weight.
Yeah, it's
harder family weight.
I would say it's around the weight of Lords of Waterdeep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's worker placement,
and it has less take that. There's no hose your neighbor cards. It's just you can go play a dragon.
And I feel like the theme is far more accessible than Dungeons & Dragons.
Yeah, this is just the dragons. There's no dungeons.
Yeah, exactly.
It's light and airy. The dragon art is fun. They're cutesy. Mm-hmm. Now, having said that, and as much as I love this, like this game, I still, and if anyone out there knows of a game like this, please mention it in the comments. I still want to play a game where, like, I'm the dragon or I'm riding the dragon and we're burninating the countryside. Kind of like Trogdor, you know.
But more interactive.
But more actual, you know.
I might actually have you on that.
Oh, really?
It is called Dragoon by Lay Waste Games, and I do have a copy of it.
Yeah.
And it is head-to-head dragon combat, or you can play it up to 4 players.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is you have a grid where you are trying to basically secure your land from all the other players and exploit the people for gold, or destroy them to get one-time gold instead. So it's neat. There's a lot of different ways you could play it, and you get card powers. It is a lot of fun, and if that's something you want to play, you can just ask.
Let's add that to the list.
All right.
Okay. My number 3, Ben's already alluded to it, is the Guild of Merchant Explorers.
Yay.
I was poo-pooed on Roll and Rides 2 years ago, and it took silver and gold to bring me back out of it. Ooh. Because we were so inundated with so many Roll and Rides, I'm just like,
there's a lot.
Oh, there's so many. But when Silver and Gold came out, and then Big Dig and a couple others, I'm like, all right. I don't need to be jaded anymore. I just need to be selective and see what trips my trigger.
Same here.
And then when Guild of Merchant Explorers, I watched a couple videos. I'm like, okay, that seems right up my alley. I love exploring a map. And the idea that you pull... So it plays 4 rounds. In the first round, you're placing your cubes. And if you can completely fill up an area, you get to put down a little village. And then at the end of that round, all of your cubes come off, and you have to re-explore the whole damn map, and you're like, ah! But if you were able to place a village out, you can either start from the main city that everybody gets to start from, or you can start from your new village. And then you're flipping cards, and it tells you what terrain you can build on. But you also, everybody gets their own power each round, which, when everybody gets their cards, you're like, oh man, I get to do this? And it feels like it's almost a game-breaking power, but everybody's getting their own game-breaking power, and it feels so good.
Back-to-back games of Double Treasure and Era 1 Double Treasure feels so good, especially when I have a set and a half of those, pots. It's just like, I feel like I shouldn't have this. It's like, it should be hard to get 4 of these, and I have 6.
Which brings Ben to your number 3.
My number 3. This one will be shout out to Shem Phillips, Wayfarers of the South, Tigris. He's probably my favorite designer that I discovered this year. Well, I more discovered him. No, I did discover him this year because it was January 1st when I actually first played Architects of the West Kingdom.
Yep. Then you got the Paladins.
And then I got Paladins and Viscounts. So seeing Wayfarers of the South Tigris pop up in Kickstarter had me immediately excited because I very interested by the setting. It is more medieval Baghdad, where the theme is that, and it's some historical accuracy to it, where the Sultan sent out travelers in opposite directions to try and measure the circumference of the Earth, and they were, by today's standards, fairly accurate.
Yeah.
And so in the game, you are building a very sizable tableau of land and sea cards, and also on top of those, you can put space cards. And so the whole theme is that you are discovering these lands, and they might have either recurring abilities when you do certain actions, or they might grant you certain action spaces. And I love that with the sea cards, what they have is they have these, they can have up to 4 different rewards on the right, but you have to line them up with the next card you play. So a card might have 4 rewards on it, but the next card might only give you 1 or 2 of those rewards depending on how it follows up. And it's very smart when you're trying to figure out how you want to put this together. And then you have this, they call the journaling board in the center that guides you towards the end of the game. Now, you do absolutely need to go through it in order to end the game, but being able to kind of discern what path you want to take and when to get those cards is also very important. It makes you, I don't know, it just makes you feel smart when you're playing through it and you get to the end and you're super rewarded with this huge tableau of cards with abilities that you probably didn't even use throughout the entire game because you needed some of those cards just to get on the journal track. But Wayfarers of the South Tigris, definitely happy that I got this one on time through Kickstarter and can't wait to share it with others.
Right on. Number 2, my number 2 is Ben's fault. Planet Unknown. We went to Ben's birthday. He popped out a game that he just got. And he's like, oh, this plays 6. I can't wait to play this. And he was showing us all the stuff that it has. And Planet Unknown, the base is everybody has the same planet that they're going to be exploring. There's a Lazy Susan that goes in the middle of the game. And this is both Kickstarter and retail copies. The Lazy Susan's there.
Yep.
Your start player will decide where on the Lazy Susan they're picking their piece, and everybody else picks from the depot that's in front of them. They have a front and a backside choice. The front side is usually a bigger piece, but maybe a little bit harder to place, and the backside is a little smaller piece, doesn't cover up as much, but usually easier to place. You have secret goals, or not secret goals, but you have a goal between each of your neighbors. And then you also have, if you can completely fill up the planet in columns and rows, you get in-game points. If you can pick up your life pods that have dropped on the planet, you get points. If you can pick up the craters, the asteroids.
The meteors, yep.
Meteors, you get points. And my favorite part is if you have a tech tree and it's fun, I freaking love those games. And it has a tech tree that is fun.
Yeah, and I love when some of the neighboring objectives might have things that go against what you were taught in the rules, i.e. you might have an objective of least collected life pods.
Yeah.
So you have to sit there and look at your neighbor and decide, well, do I get that second and then just maybe go all in on the life pods and let them earn the 5 points off of, is it worth it? Am I even going to be able to get it? Because if you only end up getting 2 or 3, all of a sudden your neighbor got more points for not collecting them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And anytime you place the tiles, every one of the tiles has 2 artworks, and those artworks dictate where you get to move up on the tech track. There's technology, there's civilization, there's water, greenery, and exploration track. Mm-hmm. Then there's this little iOS loading wheel.
Apple.
Apple. Yeah, the Apple loading wheel. And whenever you cross that, you get to bump up on another track.
Yep.
And it's got the same kind of thing that Gan Shown Clever has. When you hit a bonus, it might trigger another bonus, get another bonus.
Love it.
It's that feel good, and you're like, oh, good turn.
Yeah, and I don't think you've delved into this much because on the backside of the maps you can get asymmetric planets or and companies, and you can mix and match them, and so you can, with some of those companies, you can do crazy things where they create one is an extended water track, but if you're able to get go up the entire track, it's worth 20 points at the end of the game. Wow. Some of that might be Kickstarter only, because I know
you got two different double-sided maps. I got one double-sided, 6 players worth of double-sided maps.
Yeah, I have like 12 mats or something like that.
Oh, wow.
I don't have that many.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to be offered as like expansions I can buy from the thing if I really want it.
Cool. They're not going to fit in the box, but yeah.
They won't, but at the same time, for this game, I don't know that I want it because at its weight, it's gateway weight. It's on the base.
Yeah, on the base side. Because I do like that it can be gateway on the base side, but then if for that guy who likes or gal who likes that hardcore game, you can go a little harder with throwing them on the backside. So you don't have to do both asymmetric companies and planets. You can do only one asymmetric and just kind of dip your toes in a little bit and then go all in. It's a good time.
That was Planet Unknown, my number 2. Andrea, what was your number 2?
My number 2 was Azul Queen's Garden.
Yeah.
Another thing I like about it is because Azul has been around so long and had so many different revisions, and if you're like, Azul, that's a little bit low weight for me. I like something a little bit harder. Well, that's this. This is a little bit harder. So maybe say a lot harder version of Azul. So if you're poo-poo Azul because you've been there, done that, try this. It's really good.
Ben, your number 2.
My number 2, this one, I talked with you about this. We're kind of fudging it a little bit. I technically got this game in 2022, right in the start of January. This one is Bitoku. For whatever reason, it took me a while to come around to Euro games, and now I'm just full on into the heavy Euro game scene. I'll joke and say no thanks to Catherine, but thanks to Catherine. But I just adore Bitoku, and it's weird that I would say that about a game, but from the art, which is just based on more of a kind of a fictionalized Shinto religion stuff, some of which they admit is based on real things, and others they kind of had to take some liberties with. There's not too much information on it out there. But it's a worker placement game where they also somehow managed to mix in a very small deck building aspect that you don't have to go into if you don't want to, so long as your game plan allows for it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice because the game kind of on-ramps you into... You just take an action, you do one action, and by the end of the game, you start to chain actions. You place a worker, and all of a sudden you get 1, 2, maybe 3 things out of just one action. And it just, for me, it's just felt super satisfying. I've introduced it to other people who I didn't think would be as into it and have asked me to play it again. I introduced it to people at BGG Con, and they just loved it as well. So I'm super happy with the game, and I'm just going to include it on 2022, even though it's right on that line. But hey, I love it. Can't wait to play more of it.
Yeah, that's a heavy Euro I absolutely need to play. There's a couple heavy Euros I really want to play. That, Lacrimosa, Wayfarers is a medium weight game, but I'd like to play that. All right, that brings us to our number 1 games. Gonna roll the heavy D20. I got a 13.
Oh, big money. 19.
Ooh.
Almost at 20.
One. Oh.
Andrea, you want to go first or last?
She gets that.
Well, I guess I lose, so that means I go first.
All right, go first. Andrea, you're number 1.
You rolled the highest. How did you lose?
A 1 is the lowest.
Yeah, but you rolled a 20.
Yeah, you rolled a 20.
Oh, I thought it was a 1.
No, you got a nat 20, girl.
Oh, sorry. Then I'll go last.
Oh, okay.
All right, I rolled a 13. I rolled the lowest.
Yep.
My number 1 is Ark Nova. I know it says it printed in 2021. Mass distribution was in 2022, and that's when I was able to get my hands on it. Matthias Wiggy. It has a terraforming aspect because you're going through the deck as much as you can to find the cards you want.
Yep.
It also has the terraforming aspect of your first game. Everybody's first game of Terraforming Mars, they want to read every card. And then on their second and third, they learn to read the icons. Hey, this says 4% oxygen. I'm not going to see that for a while. I'm going to check this.
Yeah.
You see an animal card that says you need a level 2 animal card to play this. I'm like, I'm not going to see that. This rhino's gone. It also has the putting the hexes on the board. It looks like you're terraforming a zoo, so you can put enclosures and whatnot. It has the scoring aspect of Rajas of the Ganges, which I like and I don't. I have a love-hate with that. I like that triggers the in-game, but then having to count the points and stuff, it's not hard. It's just fiddly. But Matthias Wiggy made an amazing game. It scratches the same itch that Terraforming Mars does for me, but I'm glad I have the 2 different experiences. Yeah. If I want space, I get Terraforming Mars. We just played it for New Year's Eve. We played a 5-player game with Prelude, and we loved it.
Yeah.
And then as we were playing it, we were like, you know what? I could go for a game of Ark Nova right now.
It's weird, just this itch.
Yeah, and we played it quite a bit. I don't think we care to play it at 4. It's the same thing.
I would. I played it 4.
Okay. I don't know that I would care to play it at 4. It's the same thing as Great Western Trail at 4. It's too long for me. It's I don't know. There's some of those games that at 4, like the Civ game. That is by Through the Ages. Through the Ages.
Oh, 2
and 3, pretty good.
Fine.
4 is forever.
Need to. I want to play that one.
Really good.
Yeah.
That designer is one of my favorites. Yeah. And it's not my favorite designer because, like, oh man, I love all his games. It's like, he does so many different games.
Yeah. I can't say that about
Vlada Shavaddal.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't say that
Code
about
names Through the Ages.
Yeah,
Mage Knight, Bunny Moose Moose. Cash Kalar, Pictomania.
Yeah.
And the dude's all over the map. And most designers, you can tell their footprint on a lot of games.
Yes.
His, I can't.
Yeah.
His, I think he just has multiple personalities that come out to design a game.
Yeah.
But that's not Ark Nova. Ark Nova by Matthias Wiggy is my favorite game of 2022. Ben, you were 19. What is your favorite game of 2022?
I mean, you probably know it, considering I talked about it a lot, even leading up to the recording.
This is a reckoning for you. What is your favorite game?
It might just be Dead Reckoning by John D. Clare.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was that compelled me to back this on Kickstarter all the way in the back of, I think it was towards the end of 2020. Just saw the artwork. Ian O'Toole, probably the most prolific graphic designer in all the board game space at the moment. There's probably not a game out there someone hasn't looked at that was by him. Yeah. He gets around so much, and I just remember seeing that art and I knew, I was like, I like Mystic Vale. And it's got the card crafting system. Let's go ahead and pick that up. Got it more towards the start of the year, and just it is. I don't know. I didn't for whatever reason a 4X game didn't appeal to me. For whatever reason, mainly because I'm just bad at Scythe, and so I was like, maybe
I don't know that you're bad at Scythe. You came into a group that played the crap out of Scythe, played it into the ground.
You saw that. Oh, you saw that game? Yeah, that was a rough game.
Well, and our group knows Scythe fairly, or at least when you came into it, they knew it fairly well. To where a game of Scythe takes 20 minutes, 25 minutes once it's on the table with a lot of our gamers.
Yeah.
Because they know their faction, they know their boards, and they play them. And then by the time you've just got your Riverwalk, you're like...
Yeah, the game's over.
Yeah, game's over.
And I'm in single-digit scores, and I'm kidding. But, man...
I've got 1 coin, guys. Is that good?
Yeah. But, but with Dead Reckoning, we're talking about he took Mystic Veil's card crafting system, which, I mean, it in itself is a deck builder in a way... so you have a deck of pirate crew members ranging from your 1 captain, you got 2 gunners, you got multiple crew members, and in a very thematic way, you get to level up the crew, but you also get to give them the card crafting abilities that you can buy along the way. And in 4X style, you get to go around, place your influence on different island boards, go ahead and explore. And here's the best part, because I'm so mad that I didn't do this. I wish I did this earlier, but I hadn't played it enough. But then I added in the Saga expansion content.
Yeah.
And the game just went from like 100 to 150. It just kicked it up another gear, because you're talking about all of a sudden this game goes long form where you get to unlock content, and it feels like the game is now telling you a story. Where just in the first Saga expansion alone, there's 4 different storylines that you can follow through, and one that is slowly being robbed from me by Nick because he's mean and has beaten me 5 games in a row right now.
Good job, Nick.
Yeah, and so it's like you can go ahead and try and hunt down a Kraken if you can find the Kraken's trident. It just, for whatever reason, this game is it shot up into my top 10 of all time. It just feels good, and it just kind of makes you feel like a pirate. And
who can argue with that?
No, you can't. And it's like,
it's hard to argue with that.
And it's like the worst joke is what is a pirate's favorite letter?
R.
You think it'd be R, but it really be the C. So yes, Dead Reckoning, easily my number 1, no questions asked. Just love the game, and again, John D. Clare, at least with some of his things, like you said with Vlada Chvátil, it's a little hard to tell where his stamp is, but there are some things you can certainly tell is by John D. Clare
in his designing box.
Yeah,
Cubitos is a game that we got late last year that we played at the front of this year. Really liked it, and honestly, it would have been considered, if it hadn't, come out until later, that might have been in our consideration. But they came out that was in 2021, and that was a fun game. Yeah. Actually, I think it came out, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I definitely like following designers like John D. Clare, Cole Worley, and Shem Phillips, although a lot of those guys have a lot of trademarks that they constantly use, especially Cole Worley. But I do love his use of cards with suits in different games, and just how different they feel, but it's still effectively the same mechanic.
Right. Andrea, your number 1 of 2022.
My number 1 is Ark Nova.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about this before, but I am a very theme player. Mm-hmm. You care more about the game mechanics.
I do.
I want a story. Yeah. I want a story and a theme, and who wouldn't want their own zoo? Come on, man.
Isn't that a movie? We bought a zoo?
Yeah, it is. And there's a reason there was.
Hey, at the price point, you kind of do.
Yeah. I agree with everything that you just said about the game mechanics and how it's like Terraforming Mars and in different ways that you play the cards. But hey, man, I got a tiger in my zoo. And I sold a bunch of tickets because I got a tiger in my zoo. So
Yeah, I don't know what you sold behind the scenes to get that tiger either.
yeah, but you know, the game makes sense.
You also got chickens just kind of pecking around you.
Right, yeah, I've got a petting zoo that got me some points, but it was kind of boring. But you can use that in your gameplay. You know, you can go the smaller animals. You know, the petting zoo.
Fine petting zoos.
The kids will love it.
Yeah, to get your points. But there are a lot of different paths to victory in this game. You just have to choose which one you take, and you can play it over and over and choose different one each time, and it'll still be interesting and fun. And like I said, I'd played it at 4. Yes, it'd be a long game, of course, because it takes everyone a minute to do their turn. But I almost like that pause in between, because I get to plan my next turn and what animals, you know, could go where, and I have different options of what my next action will be. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with this game, and I'm glad we have it in our collection.
That's our top 7 from 2022. In the expansion content, we'll come back. Probably looking around January 20th when we bring up the expansion content. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about our 8 through 14. But until we get there, I would like to say goodbye.
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 The 417 Gamer Podcast is recorded and produced by Rick Bagwell and Andrea Smith. Heavy Breathing was produced by our lovely dog, Buck. We want to thank Ben for coming on and being a special guest in our discussion topic in our top 7 games of 2022. Our intro and outro music, Kind, Gentle, Beautiful Person and Making Up for Lost Time, is by Origami Replica. For show notes and more, head on over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Hobby Gaming Network, or keep an eye on our YouTube page at 417Gamers when we post this. We'll have the notes there. But until then, keep playing in the 417. Welcome to the 417 Gamer Podcast.